Fall is dwindling away, not on the calendar, but the leaves. This was the end of peak, or it was just about peak, and we are now past peak, but I thought I've got to show you one more clip of the gorgeousness that we have been living with these past couple of months. It's just been so wonderful. And then we can get right into some leaf raking and then clearing up the yard and then get in on the DIY and some cooking. So much for you today. I'm always so excited to be getting things done around the house, and I'm always so happy when I can take you along with me, and I love to hear what you're doing as well. You can let me know in the comments, and if you do find motivation, encouragement, or even a bit of relaxation by watching us work, I do hope that if you're not subscribed, you will consider subscribing by the end of this video, and I can't wait to chat with you in the comments. I really enjoy raking. I'm not a lover of the acorns that I'm going to show you, but I do love to rake up leaves, and I'm so happy that I can do it. It's definitely time to take the lights out of the ground and get everything cleaned up. The last 2 years I've hired someone to help us. It was just too much. The first year someone just blew them into the woods, which I was not a fan of. The second year someone picked them up and took them away. Of course that cost more money. But this year, it's me, all me. Maybe I'll get a little bit of help, and I will pick up as much as I can, but I might have to blow some of it into the woods, which I don't love doing. I don't want to make a habitat. You're going to see me check my phone a few times. It's just part of being a mom of 7 kids, and whenever my kids do text me, I like to get right back to them as quickly as I can. And always hoping that they're going to do the same when I'm texting them, if you know what I mean. If you've got older kids, I think you probably know exactly what I mean. I want to clean up the yard, but I'm saving all of this so that the grandkids can jump in leaves. And this is the hardest part anyway, because look at all the acorns. It is just a carpet of acorns, and the squirrels, they don't want them. They want our birdseed. I actually love, even when it's sped up, the little clean up noises, which is why I left the sound into this. So hopefully it doesn't annoy anybody. There's just so much going on this time of year with the holidays coming up, and I'm really trying to just keep a positive attitude. And I had read somewhere one of the ways to keep your joy is to just find little things throughout the day to be excited about. And I think, I love to watch the birds now. That's something kind of new in my life. And I've really spent some time acting like a tourist with the foliage and trying to catch whatever little harvest times you can find locally, and craft fairs, and any little chance to browse and get outside and get fresh air and sunshine. Winter's coming. So soon I'll be relying on the vitamin D that I can swallow in a pill form instead of the vitamin D I get naturally from the sun. But I've definitely tried this year to savor each of the seasons, and I won't be savoring, well, I'll savor winter. I like to look outside from my warm house with maybe some hot tea in my hand, but I don't ski, and I used to ice skate, but ever since I injured my back and I've blown a couple discs in my back, I don't ice skate anymore because I definitely would not want to risk falling down and hurting my back. So I like to look at the snow, but I'm not necessarily trudging around and doing a whole lot in the snow. Maybe when the grandkids visit during the wintertime, we'll get out there and make some snowmen. That's probably something I could help with. Or maybe I'll help them by making some snowballs they could throw, as long as they promise not to throw them on me. You see that big, tall paper bag? We normally will get like 30 of those in order to clean up the yard, and that is with kind of raking the backyard down the hill. A lot of times that could be just the front yard alone.
Okay,
on the
now
side.
that I've got like the leaves off the top, I'm going to see how many of those acorns I can just kind of like rake down the hill.
I keep thinking at some point the squirrels or chipmunks are going to be like, hey, look, all those acorns, let's go get them. But they haven't. And one of you had sent me a an article that showed how to cook acorns and you can eat them, but they have to be heated up because there's some disease they carry, is what I'm thinking. If I remember it correctly, that just honestly made me a little bit nervous, like if I didn't do it right. But it does fascinate me, all of the things we could forage if we were desperate and we could actually ingest without dying. Like in Maine, people will harvest fiddleheads, and they will also harvest mushrooms, but you got to know what you're doing with them. Actually, you got to know what you're doing with the fiddleheads too, because I think there's another plant that looks like a fiddlehead, but is actually toxic. And definitely, as you probably already know, if you don't know what you're doing with mushrooms, you could really get yourself into trouble. So these pumpkins I had bought for decorating or carving, and here it is. I got them early, and now here it is, 2 days before Halloween, and we have not done it. So I'm told my daughters, I'm like, okay, I'm going to try having some afternoon coffee so that I have the energy to do it at night. The challenge we always have now is we want to do it together, but finding a time when everybody is home is ridiculously hard when the kids living at home are 18, 19, and 26. So everybody has a busy schedule, and it's very hard to get any time together. I can't remember if I said it or not, but the leaves in the spot where I am raking right now, I have way more leaves than where I started before I started raking here. So I might have been a little bit premature, but I was trying to get this area cleaned up. I'd love to get over here, but my video is uploaded, so I need to make a picture for the front and yeah, get it uploaded the rest of the way so you can actually see it. And then mayhaps I will do some more. I also have a chicken in the oven roasting, one of my 99-cent a pound chickens. And my daughter, youngest, Ava, asked for a chicken pie. She never asks for anything for food, so I really want to make her a chicken pie tonight. So my husband took a couple days off to work on the bathroom, and I definitely wanted it to look nice when my son and his wife and our grandkids came. Not finished, but looking nice, and we definitely accomplished that. If you saw my video yesterday, I showed you the end result, but I thought you might like to see the process. These pedestal sinks, we have 2 of them. One was already out. This was the other one that he was taking out, and we did opt not to put them back in. We were having trouble with leaking. There just was a lot going on there. The knobs and the faucets were leaking, and they didn't go back together good. I mean, they're only 2 pieces, and to be perfectly honest with you, I don't really understand what the issue was with the sink. But I do know my husband didn't want to put them back in, and honestly, ladies, if he wants to get rid of something, let me tell you, we get rid of it, because usually it's me, not him. So whenever he wants to get rid of something, I'm like, yeehaw, this one's on him. So in this video, you're going to see some demo, and in the next video, you'll see some demo, and then you'll see him put it back together. So what I opted to do was to kind of split it up, because he had I had him recording it for me. I swear he must have had 8 hours of footage, and I'm not going to show you all 8 hours, don't worry. And of course it is sped up, but that was like yucky water that came out of the pipe. Anyway, I'll definitely show you the process because I know a lot of you have been interested in it. So in this video, you're definitely seeing the demo work, and I'm just so thankful that he is able to do these things. It's not his favorite thing, and as we get older, we just don't quite have the energy and bandwidth for it. One of the struggles of doing this project is all of his tools, and a lot of the things are in the basement, and he's on the 2nd floor, so he has to go up and down 2 flights of stairs to bring things, that he needs up and down, or to put things in the basement before they go to the dump or wherever they're going to go. So that's been quite a struggle. Okay, so when I was editing, whenever I edit things where we're not talking, I'll also be listening to another video, and I think it's because I do get a little bit restless just doing one thing at a time. My oldest daughter keeps telling me that I have ADHD. I don't know if that's true or not. I definitely do not have a diagnosis. But anyway, one of the videos I was just watching while I was editing was Kimmy from the Wads, and she was at the thrift store, and she saw some Corelle dishes. Do you guys know what Corelle is? If you don't, it's Corelle, and you could Google it to see. You know, they're usually inexpensive dishes, although I will say they're more expensive these days than they ever used to be. And it just reminded me that when I was first married, my mother gave me a set of Corelle dishes. And I think they were hand-me-down. They were hers. And she used to always tell me that what she loved about Corelle was that they were unbreakable. Well, I always believed my mom, and I'm going to tell you another story about her too after this one. But Kimmy seeing Corelle dishes at Goodwill just reminded me of this. So I had told my husband that they were unbreakable, and he did not believe me. He was like, that can't be true. You know, nothing, you know, on and on. Nothing's unbreakable. We're going back and forth. We do enjoy a good banter. And literally, this is our first year of marriage. And he said to me, if you really believe that these dishes are unbreakable, I want you to smash one on the floor. And mind you, at this time, he was a youth pastor, and we lived in the church parsonage. Not that that's really that important. I don't know. Anyway, we also had a dog, so I could have hurt the dog. Was the dog in the room? I can't remember. I don't think he was. Okay, never mind. I just had to clean it up enough. So anyways, I lifted that plate high over my head, and I brought it down with all the force I could muster. And that thing didn't just break. It smashed. It shattered. It went in every direction. And it took us forever to clean it up. But if you could have seen my husband's face, because he didn't think I would actually do it. He didn't think I would call his bluff. But what he didn't understand is I did actually believe my mother, and I did actually think that they were completely unbreakable. And I did think I needed to prove to him that I was right and he was wrong. So if you could have seen, number one, how shocked his face was when that plate smashed, and literally it was like someone exploded it with a bomb. And if you could have seen my face, because I was so shocked that it actually smashed. Oh my goodness. Once in a while, one of us will bring that story up again because it's definitely gone down in family lore. I can't still to this day believe I did that. So something else that my mother told me, and you tell me if this is right or not, because most people tell me it's not true. I should probably Google it. So when I was like 20, 21 years old, I think like 21, there was a short time period where I would go with a girlfriend, and we were living in Maine, and we would go visit her aunt in New Jersey. And I remember we would take the Garden State Parkway, if that means anything to anybody. And her aunt lived like 20 minutes out of New York City. Well, here I am, you know, I'm 20, 21 years old. I'm single. I'm going off with a girlfriend. Back then, oh my goodness, you could fly down there from the Portland, Maine airport, Portland Jetport, down to the Newark airport for like $50 round trip, okay? It was when JetBlue, I think it was when JetBlue was a new airline. And I think my mom was just worried about what in the world is my daughter doing down there, you know? And she told me that if I did not carry my license on me at all times, that a police officer, if they asked for my identification, which I'm not quite sure why a police officer would stop and want to see identification on me. We weren't driving into the city after all. Actually, when I say we took the Garden State Parkway, it's because, yes, a couple times we did drive, but most of the time we would fly into Newark. Anyway, I digress. I think she was just, anyway, she told me that if a police officer stopped me and asked me for identification, if I did not present my license as identification, I would be arrested for vagrancy. So for years, I was scared to go anywhere if I did not have my identification on me. And I had literally never, no one had ever asked for it unless I was getting pulled over when I was driving, right? So that was another thing with my husband was like, you're not going to get arrested for vagrancy. Anyway, I think she just did that because she was like, my daughter's going to do something crazy, and I want them to at least be able to identify her body if they find her, or if she ends up in a hospital, you know, hopefully taking my advice that her undergarments are clean and she has clean socks on. So if they take her away in an ambulance, she's not going to be embarrassed, or my mother's not going to be embarrassed because I wasn't 1,000% clean when I was in that car wreck or whatever. It's just so funny. But I was the youngest in the family, and I don't know if that's why I believed literally everything my mother said, but I did, to the point that I can smash plates and be very uncomfortable traveling without identification. That tile on the floor that my husband is taking up now, that is original to the house. The house was built, I think, in maybe 1987. I used to think it was 1986, but then I think I saw paperwork that said 1987. And this beige kind of ceramic tile we also used to have on our countertops in our kitchen. In fact, if you go back, if you go to my channel, like click on my face, bring you to my channel, and then you click on videos, and then there should be a drop down box where you can go to oldest videos. Like if you go to some of my original cleaning videos, you will see those countertops. Also, at the foot of our stairs, at the bottom of the stairs, there was a section in front of our front door that also had that same ceramic tile. And then in the room that was my office is now like a closet for teenagers. That has a blue rug, but it used to be blue ceramic tile. But there's no foundation under that room. And so the floor, became uneven and the ceramic tile broke all up. So that's one of the things with ceramic tile. And also in Maine, I don't know about where you live, but our houses shift a lot because when it's cold, and when you freeze things, what is it? When it heats up, it expands, and when it freezes, it contracts. So there's a lot going on there with weather and having 4 seasons. So also our upstairs is electric heat, whereas the downstairs is on forced hot water. So this bathroom has an electric heater in it. And so he's taking that off. We did put this one in. It's not original to the house, but we're about ready to get another one. It's got rust on it, so we would like to get another one. Robin was thinking about getting one that's like a square that goes on the wall, and we're a little bit undecided. I would rather just get the exact same shape and slap it back on because it's quicker. I'm a little bit concerned with how he would hook up the new one because it would be more to the middle under the window. So we'll just kind of wait and see. So right now there's no heat in this room, but it hasn't really been a big deal. You keep the door open when no one's in it, and it doesn't get terribly cold. We do get down in the 20s at night some nights, but we will have to be making that decision pretty quickly here.
Well, sink's out.
Yay.
Toilet's out. Heater's out.
Woohoo!
Yeah, it's quite a mess we've got here.
I know. You should bring up that nasty vacuum.
Yeah, we'll have to vacuum up. I need to get the rest of these tiles up first.
Right.
And we'll vacuum up. I'm going to take a look at this ring and see if this is viable. Even if it's not, that makes it really challenging here to get the toilet back on. It seems to be sturdy. It's this side here that's weak.
Oh, yeah. How hard are those to replace?
I'm pretty sure. Well, I don't know if I replaced this one. I think I replaced the one in the other toilet like this. But basically, you have to cut the pipe and put a new thing back on. So you gotta get in behind here.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Cut all that. Well, once I take this plywood out, it'll be higher.
Are we getting new plywood?
Well, that's what we gotta. Once we get this subflooring out, like it is in front of the
bathtub,
then we gotta look at what the thickness is and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, there's a lot to do here before we get anywhere. And then this thing, I gotta figure out, because that's not moving anywhere, and that has to come off. in order to get down to the floor. I don't want to have to replace that.
Okay, if I'm driving you crazy and you're thinking of abandoning this video, I'm saying you got to stick around for a few more minutes because I'm going to show you how nasty it is behind the toilet. And my husband was like, please tell me you're not actually going to show that on the internet. And I was like, no, that's what people love. Literally, everybody wants to see your messes and your dirt. They don't want to see you clean a clean house. And I was going to clean it like as part of a cleaning video. And then he cleaned it. He didn't film it. But you'll at least get to see what it looked like behind the toilet.
Well, this is all cleared.
All right, what's next?
Get all this out of here.
Oh, so I should move this up.
You know, doing something different with it. The
Right.
back of it is an absolute mess.
You mean it needs to be cleaned?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Look at the back of it.
No thanks. Well, okay.
Yeah. You should.
No.
Well.
That's what people love to see.
Well, anyone's going to love to see that.
Yeah, they are.
Take a
Especially
look.
when I clean it. Ooh, that's pretty. What's behind your toilet? Oh my. He's like, I think everyone's toilet looks like that.
I don't think
Nobody pulls out their toilet to do spring cleaning.
I would imagine there's a few people.
And we wonder why the bathroom smells.
No, come on. It's not.
Okay, think about it though. Your toilet is up against the wall. Is that not true? Is that everybody, or is there such a thing as a toilet that's not up against a wall? And you can't pull it out unless you're like replacing the seal or something. Do you replace the seal on your toilet yearly or let me know. And would you ever clean the back of the toilet? You can't. How would you pull it out? You'd have to disconnect it. Yes, that is the toilet going into my bedroom. And you must have seen a cleaning video that's past this point, because I know one of you said to me, every bedroom needs a toilet. Or maybe I just said it. I don't know. But here he is. He is getting things vacuumed, or not vacuumed. He's sweeping. And you'll notice that against the tub, there's a different floor there, so what he's standing on will have to be removed as well. So, and we didn't know if we would have to replace any of that. We didn't know at first if that metal rim that the toilet kind of went down into, if that might have to be replaced. But in the end, he was able to salvage that, thank goodness. So it's always, there's so many things that could go wrong in a bathroom. It's a very tight room and a very small one, which is why you don't see me in here helping him. It's not really a whole lot of room, but at the same time, there's some very expensive things in the room, so it's very difficult. So this is what you're going to see today, and we're going to switch now to cooking. Hopefully you haven't lost your appetite by seeing the back of my toilet, and we'll switch over to supper. I am making my first ever gluten-free pie crust. And I like to use that King Arthur flour because it is gluten-free flour. It's 1-to-1 ratio. You can substitute it in for your recipes that have gluten. So I've never done this before, but it was 2 cups of flour and then 1 cup of shortening and a 1/2 cup of ice water. One of the times my husband did this same recipe, but with just regular all-purpose flour, which is on my channel somewhere. But today we're doing it with the gluten-free flour. And unfortunately, because I'm actually making 3 recipes tonight, I don't think to show you the finished pie, but I will tell you how it came out. So, you're forking, you're getting it all incorporated, the Crisco into the flour. You could also use butter, and there is a butter shortening that you could buy that's like butter flavored. You might like that even better. But what I will say is, just like with regular pie crust, you only want to roll it once. I'm also going to ball it all up when I'm done, and I'm going to put it in the refrigerator and let it chill further. Having a chilled crust is always easier to roll out than a warm one, and I learned that from Martha Stewart. So I was making 2 small pies and ramekins for my gluten-free daughter, and she loved it so much. It tasted really good. You know, gluten-free flour is a little grainier than all-purpose flour, but you definitely get used to it, and it's really not a game changer. So I'm getting all of that into a ball, and then I'm wrapping it in saran wrap, and I'm going to be putting it in the refrigerator. I didn't pre-cook the crust, but that wouldn't be a terrible idea. I just put it in, I greased the ramekin and I put it in the oven just like I normally would at 400 degrees. So there's my beautiful little pie crust. So I had to really piece it together. That's the other thing I will say. It wasn't beautiful. My top crust went a lot better than the bottom crust, trying to put it into a certain shape. So I'm making the pie crust for her. I'm doing the chicken pie for, it was Ava, my husband, and myself, and then a chicken soup because Yvonne doesn't like chicken pie, and I know that she'll eat it for leftovers. So I wasn't worried about, having too much food because all of that makes great leftovers. What I was doing with the chicken pie that my husband, Ava, and I were eating was instead of using pie crust, I used stuffing. All 3 of us love stuffing, and we love the Pepperidge Farm stuffing. So first I'm getting the potatoes and carrots and onion peeled and sliced for Yvonne's soup. And then, you're just boiling it, and I always put the chicken in at the very end. So when my soup is done, and all of the vegetables are cooked through is the definition of done, then I'll add the chicken and just let the chicken get heated, cut it, add it, let it get heated, and then it's ready to eat. And the reason that I do that is because I've noticed if I put the chicken in too early, then it kind of falls apart and goes to nothing, and it feels like there's really not much chicken in there. So it's not very satisfying for the people who are eating it. So I've just learned over time to put the chicken in kind of last minute. I do have broth in the freezer, so I should have been using that, but I just was kind of too lazy to thaw it out. So I had a box of Nature's Promise broth, and that's what I'm using. And then I'm also going to add drippings from the chicken. You'll see me do that as well. I also could have sauteed the onion, but I didn't. And we're pretty basic here. We can easily just, this is it for us. This is all we need, salt and pepper. But, you could also put some oregano in there or some Italian seasoning. You could put some thyme in there, also parsley. You could put celery in there, whatever you like. This is just a great way to use up any leftover vegetables as well. Now I'm cutting up enough onion, carrots, and potatoes to make the pie for the bigger pie. That's for my husband, Ava, and I, and also for the ramekins for Rachel. And then I'll just divide it up. And I do like to kind of batch cook this way. And I feel bad when I did the meals for the woman in town who has been recovering from surgery. I feel like I let that look like it was very complicated cooking. It wasn't. It's just I don't make one thing start to finish, then make another thing start to finish. I just kind of mix it all up. It's just kind of the way my brain works. In fact, when I was working at a bank, it was one of the things they downgraded me on a review is that I get out several projects at once, and I'm working on all the projects at the same time rather than doing one thing to completion then getting out another thing to completion. It's just kind of the way I am. Just like my bank records and the numbers would all even out the busier I was. So if I was trying to do the window and wait on people and the drive up window, I actually was more accurate than if I was doing one thing at a time. Now I'm going to be putting some of the broth into the soup, and I'm about to make a mistake. Oh no, I'm putting it in the pan that I'm going to cook everything down for the pie. And I did this one night for a church supper, and it went really well of just throwing everything in a wide pan like that, cooking it up. But the mistake I made was I should have put more broth in there or more water, and then thickened it up when it was done. which I do thicken it with cornstarch, but I didn't put enough juice in there and it almost burnt to the bottom. I had to save it. So don't be like me. By the way, I just put a piece of chicken in my mouth. I don't know if you noticed that. Don't be like me. Add more moisture. It really did need more moisture. So now I'm getting all of the chicken cut up that I had roasted in the oven. I usually will start it at like 425 degrees uncovered with some water on the bottom, and then I will cover it when the top is brown and turn it down to 350 or 375 degrees. Rule of thumb is 15 minutes of roasting for every pound. And that's what I do. It's what my mother taught me to do. And I liked having recipes for the whole chicken and not having any leftovers that weren't cooked, because sometimes it just doesn't get eaten up as fast as I want. I did save the bones to make broth, but then after a couple days, if I remember correctly, I ended up getting rid of them because I could just tell I did not have the time. But you know, it's worth keeping them in a Gladlock bag just to see if you might. Another thing you could do, especially if you're putting together meals in the morning, is that you could throw the bones in a crock pot and add any vegetables that you like for flavoring and any seasonings. You could also look on the back of a chicken broth or chicken stock box or can in the grocery store to get ideas. Can you see me? I keep eating the chicken. It must have been lunchtime. To get ideas on what to put in your broth. That's always a good way to do it. So what I'm doing now, putting this bowl, you can see my nice messy kitchen, putting this bowl in a strainer into the sink so that I can strain out any of the skin or any of the bones from the rest of the broth so that I can use it in my pie, and any I'm not using in the pie is going to go ahead and go right into the soup. With this rolling and adding more broth, I'm next going to get the stuffing ready, and we love Pepperidge Farm stuffing, and I just use the directions on the back, which is actually not true because I used to use the directions on the back. Now I just add liquid until it is the consistency that I want it to be. I'm adding chicken broth. You can add water like they say with some butter. I think I had, nope, that looks like water. So I melted some butter in the water in the microwave. That is what I did. And so I'm just going to mix that up. I did this a good week ago, so I'm trying to remember what I did because I don't do the same thing every time. Sometimes I use broth and sometimes I use water. So I'm just getting that all mixed up. And I think what the recipe intended was just to put it across the top, but I really wanted to put it across the bottom too. If I were to do that again, I might pre-cook the bottom and let it get crispy. And then I'm taking cornstarch, we didn't have much left, putting it in some cold water, mixing it up. You only need a couple of tablespoons, which is why I prefer thickening with cornstarch over flour, even if I don't need to be gluten-free, because cornstarch does thicken up a lot faster and with a lot less than flour does. And also, if you put too much flour in something, you do run the risk of getting that flour flavor in your gravy, and I've never had that problem with cornstarch. But you do got to be careful, like put in a little bit at a time, because when it thickens, it can really thicken fast. If you have made it this far and you still like me and you've never subscribed, I would invite you to subscribe to my channel. It is, of course, completely free, and it's easier to find out when I upload a new video if you are subscribed, and I would love to add you to my family. So go ahead and click on the subscribe button you see underneath the video. And speaking of underneath the video, I wanted to thank Mond, M-O-N-D. She's our friend here. She's been here a very long time, and in my last video, I was sharing with you all that my second to youngest daughter, Yvonne, is pregnant, and she gave a super chat of a generous gift that Yvonne could use to buy something for her baby, and I just want to thank you so much. That's so generous of you. If you guys don't know what a super chat is, look at the bottom right of this video and you can see a $, and you can go to a video for your favorite creator. You can choose to donate that to them with a super chat. So you can choose any amount of money to gift them with by clicking on that, and it will be very user-friendly and self-explanatory when you do go ahead and click on that. But I just want to thank you again, Mond, and Yvonne asked me to thank you. She was so excited and thrilled that someone here would do something like that for her. It was very sweet. I'm sure you can imagine if you had a YouTube channel and someone had given you a gift, like it's just not something that you would ever expect. So I just do want to take time to thank all of you for all of your sweet comments on that video. It meant so much to me. It meant so much to Yvonne and my whole family. Back to the recipe, I put the cut up chicken in the soup as well as in the pie. And so I'm just spreading out the crust here, and then I will add the filling and put more of the stuffing on the top. This was just so easy. I definitely will do it again. Honestly, this frying pan full of filling, that is a meal right there. You don't need to go any further. It's a chicken stew. You could also just get a pie crust from the grocery store and put it in a traditionally sized pie. What we used to do a lot of times is just put the filling in a pan like this one. I'm putting more chicken on the top. And then we would take the store-bought pie crust and put it just over the top. That's also super easy, and it's just home cooking. Once that was done, it was time to roll out my gluten-free crust, my pie crust, and so I divided it into 4 pieces because I'm doing 2 pies. And so first I am rolling out the bottom one. I was very unsure about putting the flour on the island. I don't know. I don't remember rolling out this before, but I have made pizza crust with this flour, and it also came out good. But you can see how I'm piecing it together, and I thought, well, no one's going to see the bottom anyway. By the way, I got these ramekins at Goodwill. So I was so excited because we were talking about ramekins, and then I went online and I thought they were really expensive for what you get. And then this one even has a handle. It was kind of an area that is wealthy, the Goodwill I went into, and it was surprisingly a good Goodwill. It was small. It was kind of in a little, I don't know, a little shopping mall area, outdoor shopping mall. It didn't look like it would be a good one, but it really, really was. So then when I put the slits in the top and everything, you know, I felt like the top crust actually came out really good. It's funny to me how I can spend the whole summer barely wanting to cook, and then as soon as the cold weather starts to hit, all of a sudden it's about cozy, you know, home-cooked meals, and I am just so into it right now. And looking at new recipes, looking at old family recipes, all of the things. So I got the ramekins into the oven, and now I'm just putting, I don't know why I did it this way. Like I said, I tend to have everything going on at once and not doing one thing at a time, but I'm spreading the stuffing over the top, which I could have done before I did the ramekins, so not quite sure what I was thinking there. Maybe I wanted to get them into the oven, and I thought it would take longer for them to cook. Yeah, let's pretend I said that, because that actually would make sense, because the pie crust isn't cooked, whereas everything going into this pie is pre-cooked. It was a big hit. Definitely something we'll do again. Definitely something I would take to a potluck. It crisped up on the top. Really, really nice. What would you say are your favorite comfort foods when the weather gets cold? I would love to know, not to mention the fact that I have been on Pinterest quite a bit getting newer recipes. In fact, I did get this idea from Pinterest. So I don't think I did it exactly like them. I just honestly was going by the picture and didn't even look at a recipe, but it was a winner. Tomorrow is Wednesday. I'm not sure if I'll have a video up. I'm going to try. I have it all filmed. I do need to edit it, but if not, I'll definitely see you Thursday. Remember, as always, that God loves you, I love you too, and I can't wait to see you next time.